the middle of turning a tanker! Yeah!
I will you up.
You, man.
Wait, stop.
L to the motherfucking OG.
Don't fool with me! Hey! No! Idiot.
What you just saw were moments from probably one of the greatest shows on TV right now called Succession on HBO Max. With the release of Succession Season 3 coming in just a few days, I'm going to be breaking down the entire timeline for you guys, as well as give you some insight on why you need to see the show if you haven't already. And for those of you that have, well, here's a recap on the story of Succession so far. My name is Ryder, and welcome back to Strictly Casual. If you enjoy this type of content, we also cover all the latest from gaming, movies, streaming, and pop culture, so be sure to subscribe if that interests you. Succession has proven itself to be one of TV's greatest hits with multiple Emmy Awards, fan favorite moments, and a story that just keeps getting better and better, with more details revealed every time you rewatch. Succession is a show that beautifies the nastiness and brutality of relationships of this rich and powerful family known as the Roy family. Season 1 opens up on our broken yet determined protagonist Kendall Roy. He's a part of the Roy family made up of their father, top of the family food chain Logan Roy. We have one of the siblings, his sister Shiv, who has a need for power but doesn't want to admit it. Her husband Tom Wamsgams, who always seems to be getting the bad end of everything. The brother Roman, who has much charisma and a desire to be the boss at times but often gets overshadowed by his brother Kendall. And the oldest brother Connor Roy, who wants nothing to do with the family business yet feeds off the income and does absolutely nothing with his life. Lastly, there's cousin Greg, who's a fan favorite and, like the audience, is the most relatable in a weird sort of way, and somehow weaseled his way into the ties of the family business but doesn't have the same ferocity as the other siblings do. Of course, there's so many more memorable characters like Stewie, Jerry, and Frank, who all work for the company as well, but there's just too much to cover in just one video. Now that you know some of the characters, let's get into the drama of it all. Our main character Kendall wants to run the family company Roystar Waco, so he does what he can at all costs to take the position of his father as CEO, despite him being a towering presence in his life. Due to her health situation in the show's pilot, Logan is out of the game with his mind scrambled for a few episodes of the show, not showing the ability to properly run the company. This gives an opportunity for Kendall to strike at his father and devise a plan to call for a meeting to have a vote of no confidence and replace his dad with himself. I'd also like to mention there's this big company scandal that's been covered up for years by the head of the theme parks division, but now Tom is getting promoted to that role and has to deal with the knowledge of the entire scandal and that the company could be destroyed potentially, and the law can step in, putting him in prison forever because of it. More on that little secret later. Due to classic New York traffic, Kendall is halted from arriving at the big meeting on time, and the plan goes up in flames to push his father out of the company.
That was your best shot. You lost.
With Kendall now fired and falling back into a previous drug addiction he once had, his hatred for his father is ever present. He tries to get back in the business world, but after all those small, simple attempts fall through and multiple talks with his brother Roman about their past with their father Logan, he decides it's time to land a killing blow to his dad and join a rival company to buy out Roystar Waco from the family. During the two-part season finale, we have a huge wedding event for Shiv and Tom, which sets the stage for the biggest turn of events yet. With Kendall now teaming up with his old pal Stewie, he's on the cusp of finally becoming the new boss of the company, after of course telling his father about the plan to push him out, which is customary to do so when you do this sort of thing. Moving on, as Kendall is in a desperate search for a new drug high from someone he meets at the back of the venue, a waiter, Kendall drives a young man through the dark, unaware of a deer in the road, and they swerve off into a small lake under the bridge. Now, because of Kendall's high and his shock of what had happened, the young man drowns in the car after being knocked out from the impact. Now, this scene is absolutely heartbreaking to watch because you see the fear and shock on Kendall's face as he very sneakily walks back to his room, trying not to get caught from anyone at the wedding, showers, changes all his clothes, and makes a return to the party as if nothing ever happened. The next morning, everyone is made aware of this missing waiter, and everyone suspects him to be dead by his own doing. Kendall, afraid of what this might mean, stands in shock as the head of their security makes his way over to him, letting him know that his dad wishes to speak to him. Now, this scene is probably the most pivotal of the entire show because everyone in the room, including his father, his mother-in-law, and her son, here knows that Kendall was a part of the accident. But as soon as we hear Logan say these words,
Where father and son are reconciled.
we know he's probably exploiting this opportunity to make Kendall stop the push to take over the company and come back to his side. And we also see Logan going complete dad mode for probably the first time in the entire season. So this entire show has been a buildup of essentially two businessmen fighting for the head spot at the table. But when it comes to protecting your son from a crime, there's nothing a father wouldn't do to protect his number one boy.
You're my number one boy.
The battle of father and son has finally come to an end. For now. At the start of season 2, we see Kendall on his desert retreat still coping with what happened to him in season 1. His entire motivations are changed and he practically becomes a lapdog, following every order his father has for him. Now I have to give huge kudos to Jeremy Strong's performance in season 2 because you could see his entire demeanor and personality completely shift, and you see this great sadness over him that carries throughout every single scene. Everyone around Kendall is completely confused by the sudden change, unaware of the events prior. So the main plot for this season revolves around the Roy family seemingly united together against a new adversary, the Pierce family, which is another family they want to buy their family company from and gain more real estate in the news and media market. Now this season has probably one of the greatest episodes of television I've ever seen, with a dinner sequence going on for about 20 minutes with both families exchanging dialogue and passive-aggressive remarks about beliefs and life decisions. It really gets heated, and I'd recommend the show strictly on that episode alone. Continuing on, Logan for many episodes tries to get the head of the other family, Nan Pierce, to go along with the company deal and settle the transaction of purchase. Now, due to much scrutiny from comedians and talk in the business world about how unstable the Roy family is and how unfit they are to run a company, this shifts Nan Pierce's decision to sell her family company and walk away from the deal. Now, this of course upsets Logan, and before they can even figure out what to do next, the second part of the season completely shifts to that big scandal I was talking about earlier about the theme parks and cruise line division coming back up to the public. We get an entire episode dealing with the family now testifying in court, trying to save their reputations and prove they're innocent to the crimes of the past, but due to all the evidence pointing against them, one person needs to take the fall for all the crimes. In the season finale, the entire family now takes a vacation on their ridiculously massive yacht and all debate with themselves who should be the one to take the fall for the family. Now this episode is filled with heated arguments and subtle remarks to each other on who really deserves this punishment. Now this of course would mean jail time and complete separation from the company, which is hard for anyone considering they each have their own mission to try and rule within. Now in the end, father and son are once again alone and have an intense conversation about the outcome of the decision. Logan asks his son Kendall to be the one to take the fall for the company, and he responds asking him if he thinks he was ever actually fit to be the CEO one day. His father responds with a not so straightforward, "You gotta be a killer."
You're not a killer. You have to be a killer.
Telling him essentially no, that he was never fit to be CEO. Kendall follows this by giving his father a kiss on the cheek, and he says goodbye. Another powerful moment between father and son, but this time with a different outcome. We then move on to the next scene where a press junket is being held where Kendall is about to out himself to the entire world live on TV. In a crazy turn of events, he actually confesses and says his father is the one responsible for everything. We cut to Logan's point of view as he sits back on the yacht in shock, hearing what his son has just done. Season 2 is now ending with this huge twist where Kendall is throwing all the sins back on the father.
This is the day his reign ends.
Based on reviews and footage revealed for season 3, it looks like the entire family is going to be separated throughout the world as the father tries to put back together the empire that's on the brink of collapse. What new twists could arise and what more dramatic moments can occur between this family of twisted lies and altering motivations? All we can do is wait, but one thing is for certain, that this next season is gearing up to be something spectacular. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like and feel free to share it with a friend who you think might be interested in a show like this. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on if you'd be willing to check out the show on your own, but we'll see you very soon here on the channel for more news and updates in the world of entertainment. Follow all our social media down below, and thanks for watching.